So today we're going to talk about whether Riot has killed one of their agents, because we've seen agents get big nerfs before, like Astra, Jet, and Viper, but all of those agents survived. But now we have Chamber here, whose pick rate is right down there, as I'm sure you are all aware of. And so has Riot really killed their first agent with big nerfs? But before we dive into that, first we need to talk about the sponsor of the video, which is the Gosu Valorant Academy. And for the first 50 people that sign up and use the code TMV when checking out, you will get 30 days for free of joining the Gosu Valorant Academy. But what does the Academy include? Well, you can join a live class up to 3 times per week, and perhaps most importantly, you can play custom 10-man sessions. It's like Tarek's Pro City, but for you. And you can, in these 10-man sessions, get guided by a coach who's going to tell you, like, oh, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong, maybe do this a bit more, and really, really learn in a more structured setting against people of a similar skill level to you. So if that sounds good and you want to maybe get 30 days for free, the first 50 people who sign up using the code TMV will get a month of that for free. So go into the link in the description or in the pinned comment to go to Gosu Academy and sign up today using the code TMV and enjoy your 30 free days of getting better at Valorant for free. And so we're going to take a look at a game that happened in the Japanese challenges, Sengoku versus Reject here on Ascent, where Reject have decided to play Chamber on this map. And, well, I'm going to show you a couple rounds where it seems like Chamber is the exact same, and then a couple rounds that show you, just how different Chamber can now act, and some of the things that are like, little things that you might not have thought about straight away. But first, let's start with round number 19, right? And Chamber setup, very simple. Trap is here in mid. We got our Chamber rendezvous just there, and we're holding down B main. Right, it's very simple, and it's going to look very similar to old Chamber, right? We're going to get this Jet jumping in there. We get the first kill, we get out, we get safe. Right, no trade available, nothing there. Congratulations, we got the first kill. We're just in a 4v5. This is Chamber stuff. And I am only going to focus on the defensive side. I'm thinking about making a whole rant video, but Chamber was never that good on the attacking side, despite what some people may have told you. That whole duelist narrative and whatever. Chamber was never really outputting that much on the attacking side, and that obviously just got worse. So we're not going to focus too much on the attack side, but obviously defensively he was absolutely dominant. So I wanted to take a look at that and talk about some of the differences. But so far in this round, right, and what we're going to get here eventually is this Reyna is going to come back across, right? We send a Prowler out there, our Chamber comes back into B main with the rendezvous back up now, and guess what's going to happen again, right? We're going to get an off-angle Chamber is going to manage to kill something here who had a beast of a game despite, playing Reyna or whatever, and my problems with that. Did have a beast of a game. There you go, second kill. We're going to win this 5v3. And this round, you would take a look at that round, and you honestly would think, yeah, that looks like normal Chamber, right? Why, if this kind of round can happen, then isn't Chamber still pretty good? Because that looks exactly the same as what I'd seen before. And then we can take a look at round number 26 for another example where it's going to look a lot like the old Chamber. We're in overtime here. We've got a Chamber op. We got the TP just here in market. We got the alarm bot just here towards tree. And, it seems pretty normal, right? Nothing too out of the ordinary. You're going to see this round is going to play out a lot like old Chamber rounds. It's really not going to look that different whatsoever, right? So we got a Chamber in a nice pushed up position here, right? Really pushed up, really aggressive little off angle with the op here, feeling confident about what we're doing. Reject know this, so they have to use the drone. Oh, they find the Chamber with the op, right? Seen this one before. Chamber TPs away, goes back, and now what's going to happen is our Chamber is going to relocate and come all the way back and come across instead towards short and send the op there instead. And again, this is something we've seen, a lot, right? You get spotted with a drone, you reposition, and guess what's going to happen? We're going to manage to find the first kill just here again, right? There you go. First kill. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Again, looks the exact same as other Chamber rounds, right, that we've seen previously before the Chamber nerf. We had an op here in mid, right? We get droned. We have to TP away. We're safe. We come back. We reposition. And, we get a free kill, right, from the reposition with the up. All looks well. And, old Chamber wouldn't have been able to teleport them. This time we don't have a TP either for this kill, but we don't need it, right? And that looks very much like it always did. And so at this point, you're probably thinking, well, this just looks like normal chamber, right? So why aren't people picking chamber? What's such the big deal? And obviously, yes, he did get nerfed, right? The alarm bot is worse, and his rendezvous doesn't go as far, but that still looked pretty good. You could still play those off angles, right? You could still teleport to safety. What's changed? What's different? Well, here is a good example of like little small things that, particularly at the highest level of the game, make a big difference. Okay, so let's take a look at round number 16. And what's going to happen is, hey, look, we got that same B setup here with our chamber, right? We're getting in on this angle here, but this time, what's going to happen is Sengoku are going to go towards mid, right? So they send in that Rainer flash just there. They send in the smoke just here. They manage to take a bit of control towards mid. We still have this trap here. Our chamber's still absolutely doing fine over here, right? Just chilling in B main, still holding down this. And normally you'd be thinking like, hey, if they come this way, but they don't have B main, I'm going to be a problem for them if they come to this B site. That, this is good control to have. This is all feeling good. And actually, we've got Skyfall, who's got a judge. And makes good use of it. Manages to get a kill. The chamber trap actually goes off, which actually kind of hinders him because he can't move all of a sudden. And then we get the Killjoy Nanoswarm in there. Gets traded, but got 2 kills, right? But if we come to the map, you'll notice our chamber has already teleported away and given up B main. Now, why is that? Because this is the big difference here, right? With old chamber, this would not have happened. Our chamber would have not left. Our chamber would still be here in B main and probably would have fought that Sova and probably would have got the kill on that Sova, most likely. Right? That's what would have happened with old chamber, and we'd be in a 4v2 and we'd win the round. Now, they are going to win the round either way here, because that Fade did pretty well getting 2 kills there. But the difference is this, right? That this chamber TP, there used to be a second one that would go over here, right? And the difference is here, when this teleporter is back here, I can stay in B main until literally this guy is ready to come and swing B main, and this guy has to come and swing with him, right? And this requires some coordination. It requires teamwork to clear this as a team, because if they don't, maybe I'll just get a kill first and then TP away, right? But with the new chamber, that is not the case, because as soon as this Fade dies, now I have to TP away. Now I can't hold B main anymore, because the thing is, obviously, as soon as this Rainer enters this and can see this, well, I can't TP away, right? Now I can't TP it away at all because it's just a free kill, right? So as soon as this Fade dies, I have to TP away, and this chamber does the right thing, right? TP's back and then starts actually coming back to a more like, defensive position, whatever, does the right thing. But that is a major difference, because in rounds previous, this chamber would have just sat in here until literally, they feel like they're actually in on site and they're about to swing me in B main. And that would, as I said, require coordination stuff, because you can TP all the way back here and you'll be safe no matter what. Now we won't be safe no matter what. And this is a big thing, because a lot of people, of course, rightfully so, focused on like the initial setups, right? Of, hey, this is a good place to put it. Hey, look, you can still be in B main. You'll be fine, right? But with things like this, a big major difference now is that as soon as you lose just a bit of control somewhere else on the map, that now all of a sudden exposes you, and so you have to rely on your teammates a lot more than you did with the old chamber, right? With the old chamber, you could just play on your own. You didn't even have to look at the map or where your teammates were at all. You could just play on your own, have a decent sense of what's going on, and you'd be fine. Now, it really matters, because if your teammate dies in a certain position, that might mean that your whole setup just falls apart and you have to retreat, right? And that is a big deal, because now, as you see, this Sova gets free B main control, and now we're doing, we're threatening this, pretty hefty B split. And if this Omen with the spike, was up here with this Rainer, this chamber would probably be in a lot of trouble. Now, finally, let's finish with round number 21. And in this instance, you can see we've got the chamber ult online here, and we're going to peek down a main. Now, let's just start off with the first problem in this round, okay? And the first problem in this round is that this is normally not a spot you would see a lot of chamber or jet ops, for that instance, on this map, right? Normally, you don't get an op or chamber ult in this instance, looking down here, because obviously you can create kind of the different elevation angle, and so, you're not going to always be aiming in the right place, and it might be a bit risky, and so that's probably why we have a bit of help from the KO. But here's the thing with chamber that is the problem, that there's only so many good spots to put this rendezvous, right? There's only so many, and we've kind of seen them on this map here in these rounds that we've seen. There's only so many you can do, right? And so that's one limitation already, right? That you want to be mixing it up and whatnot, but there's only so many setups that work, and so you are going to end up in this kind of spot where you end up opping towards A. So that's our kind of first problem, that, you know, ideally, normally, old chamber probably wouldn't have been in this spot, you know, defending this area of the map. But you'll see we have other problems, because we get Omen flashed here. This is fine. We TP away. We take a shot. All fine, right? Nothing wrong with that. Then we're going to hold this angle instead. This is actually perfectly fine. And, you know, we force an Omen flash off, right? Yep, we TP away, but we're still fine. But then we get this smoke, and now this chamber's problems are going to begin, right? Because now we're not really holding anything with a chamber up, and we want to be aggressive with this chamber up, right? We really want to be, you know, getting good with this chamber up and holding down one part of the map very aggressively. We wanted it to be A main, it's not going to be. And then we get this KO knife here towards A main, and we suppress 3 people. Now the problem for this chamber is that normally, and as we saw in the round before, you would reposition with this chamber ult, right? You would go to another part of the map and you'd hold that down instead, right? But the problem is, how does this chamber go about repositioning without taking a risk? And the answer is, there kind of isn't a way, right? Because if we came down this way, right? If we wanted to come back to mid and come here and use our ult down here instead, then we open ourselves up to this kind of angle here of someone being up short. And because our chamber trademark is there, right, our teammates haven't gone beyond that, so we don't know what's going on towards short. So we'd either have to use a smoke in there, but then even so, there's no guarantee that they wouldn't come through that smoke just as we're kind of running this way, right? And they would get a free kill anyway. And so that's one problem. Another problem is, even if we did want to reposition, really we can only come to this, right? Assuming we want efficient use of our trademark just here, we can't go to B main because that would then, you know, disable it. And if we went to short, obviously then we'd be defending it and the trademark would be there. Wouldn't be the most efficient way of using it. So there's basically only one other position we can go to. And the other way we could get there is by jumping up on this box and coming through heaven and coming all the way back through here, right? The thing is with this is, you know, you've suppressed 3 people here already. So you don't know that it's not just like a, and they've used an Oma Flash as well, so you don't know it's not a full 5 stack at that point. And so if you don't know it's a full 5 stack, what's to say that as you're jumping on this box and trying to get into heaven, you're facing the wrong way, that they won't just come through and exec onto the site, and you'll just be facing the wrong way and die. There is no reason why that can't happen, right? And so either way, if you go back, you're taking a risk, right? And if we compare that to the old chamber would have teleported all the way back here anyway. Right, so they have a safe passage and a much faster passage as well to just get to this angle, right? They'll be there much quicker and it's safe to do so no matter what, right? Or they could have come to B main as well, right? Because the trap wouldn't have been disabled. And again, it would have been safe to do so and we would have been happy as Larry. This is the difference, right? That now, if we reposition, 1, it's going to take a long time. And 2, it's not that safe to do so. Right, so what we're going to see now from our chamber is we're going to get a very, very passive chamber ult. That is not what you want. You don't want a passive chamber ult that's just holding down the site. Sure, it'll hold down the A site just fine, but you want it to be getting a kill. You want it to be searching for a kill. You want it to be, you know, getting that first kill, getting that 5v4 for you. That's what chamber is designed to do. You're going to see that we end up putting our rendezvous here back in hell. Right, so now we're tethered to the back of the A site with a chamber ult. When did you ever see this happen with the old chamber? And the answer is never. You never saw something that passive like this early on in the round, still with, you know, plenty of time left to do an exec anywhere. That just didn't happen. So we end up in this position where actually Sengoku, they're going to come to B main and they're going to do this B exec and they're going to win this round. And this to me was like a good highlight of just kind of like, even though those changes, you might think like, oh, it's only impacting like the setups and whatnot, you can see it has a massive impact, right? And so even though Reject get the first kill, they're going to end up coming in onto this site. Nice little Sovereign in there as well. And, you know, they get the kills, in they come, and all of a sudden we're in a 3v2. And I'll just tell you now that Sengoku will manage to win this round. In fact, we'll play it out as I'm talking at the end here. So, is Chamber useless? Well, no, I don't think Chamber is useless. We saw it in the early rounds that Chamber, you can still find some value. You can still do some of the old Chamber stuff with some of the setups. The problem is, I don't think that there is enough of those setups that work that you can, you know, kind of mix up enough to really, you know, work with a trademark in there as well that has a range on it. There just isn't enough positions like that to really make it work. And so, yeah, and Jet obviously exists as well, where Jet is just better than Chamber, to be honest, right now. And so we've ended up with a pretty bad Chamber, and ultimately, I can't really blame teams for not picking Chamber because I think he is just more difficult to use than Jett now and probably isn't as good either.